Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the like, subscribe down below in your right-hand corner. Muchly appreciated as we share this video with your friends, loved ones, people you know, trying to grow this channel as a strong community as we give you good insight and we discuss what's gone on in the game reviews of how the Habs are playing performances, and we don't uh, promote gossip here, so we don't tend to run with rumors. We sometimes address the odd one, not very often, but we like to stick to factual information here. So keep everything polite, leave your comments. As here we go. Last night's game, today's October 11th. Yesterday was the 10th. We were in Boston, and just like the tape says, the Habs had their asses handed to them. This team's got some serious issues. Hard to imagine. I was so pumped about them in the previous game. And mind you, they were outplayed in that game too. You can't keep having the amount of shots. I mean, we were lucky that Monty was on his game big time, was in the zone. But they played so much better as a team. The effort. What we seen last night was putrid and pathetic. It just was an utter joke. Um, where do you start? Um, 6-4 was the final score. I don't know. We're going to give you the quick stats. This was such a disgraceful game. I couldn't believe it. First period was 3-2. We were only down one. Second period, two goals added by the Bruins. Third period, we got two and had a chance, but Primeau opened the door up so quickly after that goal of getting us within one that destroyed our chances of coming back. So they got one as well in the third. 6-4 final score. It was a ridiculous, outrageous game. Uh, Pathetic. I mean, when, anyway, when Kostelic can be a star in a game, there's nothing against the kid, but he's no goal scorer. That's telling you how bad your goaltender is. Kostelic. Remember, this was the scrapper for Ottawa, who was always going after Jackeye, had nothing else to offer. Well, Bruins insulate him while he fits in there, and he looks like a star. Only against Primeau. This was ridiculous. The goals that went in on Primeau, there might as well have been nobody in the net. Now, that doesn't let the Canadians off the hook either, because the defense was terrible. Best performers on defense last night were Gooley and Hudson, and even there were mistakes made there. So, I mean, yes, Hudson looked good on his offensive play of carrying the puck into maneuvers, but he didn't look great in the defensive zone due to his size. He got pushed around, and if we don't wake up, he's going to get hurt because we just got to do a much better job. He's got to get released the puck sooner, because when he just can't he's going to get smushed by the wrong guy one time. It's just going to happen. I love the kid, but things got to dress. The defense system, we should know this anyway. Let's go to the Stars. Lindholm had a goal, 2 assists. He was a +2. Kostelic, 2 goals, +3. Pasternak, +1, 1 goal, 1 assist. So Brendan Gallagher opening the score at 8:26 looked great on getting that goal, assisted by Armia and Hudson on the power play goal, mind you. But then again, we're lucking into getting one power play goal. But problem being, and it was nice because they gave that unit a chance, the second unit. And the second unit looks better than the first unit. And that's saying something. But Galley was by far the best Canadians player last night, hands down. And that's got to be an indication and a warning that there's a problem here. 11:04, Charlie McAvoy with a soft. He always got a good wrist shot from the point. Scores, of course. Assisted by Brad Marchand, Elias Lindholm, power play goal. So Cole Caulfield gets a nice garbage goal, which was anybody could have put this in being there. Let's be real. Glad for Cole. I'm glad to see him get a goal back to back to keep his confidence up. But anybody could have scored that goal where it was assisted by Gooley once again and Hudson, the two of them. And good to see them put those two finally together last night. And then 13:24, Merrick Kostelic scores assisted by Zadorov and Kolpek. And yeah, just a sad looking situation. 18:23, Lindholm scores again, assisted by Zadorov and Pasternak. Second period, Pasternak scores at 15:56, assisted by Zakra and Lindholm. That line was doing quite well. 16:51, Kopecky scores, assisted by Beecher and Brandon Carlo. And in the third period, Josh Anderson scores a beautiful tip with a nice, just a wrist shot from the point by Caden Gooley using smarts, assisted by Kapanen. But a nice tip by, I got to give Anderson credit. He was the next best player. Him and Armia were the next two best players next to Galley. He had a pretty good game. And I think, oddly enough, it might be working by um, trying him on maybe he's feeling more wanted by playing some penalty killing, and maybe it's helping his game because he looked a little better last night. 15:43, Galley scores again, assisted by Jake Evans and Armia. That was a really good line for us. That was our best line, to tell you the truth. Evans didn't have the strongest game, but he played okay. But Armia and Galley had an outstanding game, and Armia had a half decent game too. Then 16, we get within a goal. And what happens? Primeau just lets them walk right in, screwing all chances up of any comeback. Kostelic scores again by Kopecky and Carlo. And it's just ridiculous. And we cannot keep going down the road of getting outshot. Although this game was closer in shots, this wasn't. 29-24 is not that bad compared to the night before. Like the night before, yes, we played good, but we were still outplayed, and we should never allow that many shots. We were lucky our goaltender was on fire. But we played like a team against Toronto. Last night, it was chaos. Hits 20-19 for the Bruins. They just were smacking us. That number in my books should have looked higher for the Bruins because I don't agree with that. Face-offs 33 apiece. One power play goal for 6. At least I guess we're getting one. They had one for 5. Penalty minutes 10-12. Giveaways 17 apiece. Takeaways 7-3 for the Habs. Block shots 16-15. Pretty close game that way in block shots, but pathetic. Pathetic. I mean, we start the game with Caden Primeau tripping somebody up. Served by Caulfield, 24 seconds in. Zadorov gets a penalty at 6:36, 2 minutes for holding. Armia gets one at 10:58, 2 minutes for tripping. Federic gets one at 14:26, 2 minutes for hooking. Second period, Lane Hudson gets one, 2 minutes for holding. Just, he was out-muscled. And this is where his size does come into play. 9:38, 2 minutes for high sticking for Coyle. 11:07, Matheson assisted for 2 minutes for tripping. Charlie McAvoy, 18:01, 2 minutes for tripping. Third period, Cole Caulfield, 2 minutes for hooking. Charlie McAvoy at 4:06, that was. 6:35, 2 minutes for delay of game by Charlie McAvoy. And Brad Marchand, 2 minutes for delay game, 17:05. And I couldn't believe the American announcers had an issue with Marchand being in the offensive zone and flipping the puck over the glass. Is something wrong with the commentator's head? That should have been called. He had no reason to flip it over the glass. When it's an accidental thing, you can see it if it's just rolling off the glass. Marchand meant to throw it out. He deserved to be penalized. There was no question in that. So that was just totally ridiculous. The American commentators, when you went on that channel, because I was flipping between the French channel and the American channel. Ridiculous. They don't even know how to call hockey, it seems, some of these American commentators. But anyway, although there's a lot from TSN and ESPN as well that have their moments. This game, outrageous. outrageous, the most pathetic performance I've seen in a long time. And there are PJ Stock made valid points on Tony Marinaro's show. There are big concerns for this team. He has signs, like he said. Think about this. This, I mean, we all knew this reaffirms why you can't have a small team, and that's got to change. You need. Problem is what PJ Stock warned about. And he's on the money. Our big players didn't play big either, and don't regularly do it enough. You got Doc was mucking it up and had a good first half, but he started to taper off. I thought he got smoked by Zadorov, and he kind of his. I don't know if he was hurt or what, but his game went downhill after that hit. Now, not outrageously bad, but it went down. It's like he backed off on the physical aspect of it. Um, Josh Anderson, if he could just hit a person instead of the boards, it would be lovely. But he doesn't know how to throw a hit. There's his problem. He throws hits, but he likes to hit the glass and hurt himself. Slav plays way better than this at the end. He was better physically at the end. Now that people are saying slow start, I'll give him that. But either way, Slav and Suzuki have not looked good to me in both games. Now that doesn't mean Caulfield looks better. He's just managed to score a goal in each game. That line, period, has not looked good in the first two games. And Slav's got to start moving his feet. That's one thing I've noticed. And I find Suzuki has been doing a bit of that too, but it's more noticeable with Slav. He's got to start skating instead of standing around, especially in the defensive end. Play your spot and start using that frame because that's where you were having your success. So I don't know, he's got to use that frame. That's when he's effective. And that's why that line, I think, is not as effective because nobody wants to really muck it up. And we're not getting the effort out of that line yet. So that line, glad it got broke up last night. Dock line with Armia, that's fine, but don't tell me New Hook fits. So that's why I say Montreal Canadiens fans, don't worry. I know we were all concerned with, well, I just needed a wake-up call. By the end of this month, mark my words, Wall will be sent back to Montreal because we need something on that second line. And I don't know why they haven't tried Kapanen there yet. Although Kapanen, like I said, I was only impressed with Gallagher. Played phenomenal, and that's a worrisome sign. Thank God he's got heart because he was by far the best player on the ice, and it wasn't even close. And then it was Armia and Anderson. That tells you something. When I can compliment Anderson and the rest of the guys, I can't compliment anybody other than those three players. Evans was okay. He wasn't even as strong as he usually is. But this team, they were bad. They were running into each other in the defensive end. You had Dvorak and Savard crash into each other to cost a goal. We've seen Jack-Eye chase over a man over to Savard's side, and Savard was just standing facing Primeau, so he didn't pick up on him. So it didn't really matter that Jack-Eye put himself up. They both made a mistake. Jack-Eye chases the guy and puts himself out of position, so his side is open. There's going to be an open spot. But Savard, he was right in the sense Savard never picked him up. So whatever their system they're using, they got scored on there too. So guys are chasing guys, and been doing that. That really showed in this game. They're just chasing the play and don't know what to do. They look like they're lost in their own end. They got to start. And Montreal's, this goes to the coaching staff. What has it been? You're in year 4 now since Marty's been there. Something's got to give. That defensive system has not worked for Montreal. You're going to have to simplify it for these guys. It's happening until they catch up to speed and get more touches. They're just not ready for whatever you're trying to do for 4 years that hasn't worked. When something works, I get it. It hasn't worked. Change it because you look terrible in your own end. You've looked bad every game you play, actually, in the last 4 years in that sense. You get outplayed a lot. And we get, we get caught running around. There's too much far running around going on by players not knowing which man to pick up in confusion. But last night they were just continually crowding each other, running into each other. It was tripping over each other. Boston was having a field. They couldn't move the big players of the Bruins, and that's where it showed that size matters because they were having a bitch of a time moving the players from the front of the net, and it really showed on Barron. We seen the goal scored there. Barron, he's such a talented skater, and he showed, some glimpses of when he can jump in on an offensive play. He's not a defenseman, not for us anyway. He just can't fit in. We were too young, and we can't insulate him. He might fit with a team that's really matured and got 5 other really solid, tough defensemen that can insulate him. But when the game gets physical, he can't handle it. He just does not know how to clear bodies, doesn't know how to get them out of the front of the net, and doesn't know how to tie them up. It shows continue. Anytime the game gets physical, Barron's in trouble. And Jack gets caught chasing people around. So that's his issue. He can hit some bodies and do all right clearing bodies, but he gets caught running around. It looks like they're all confused. But Gouley had probably the strongest positional game. Then Hudson. Those are the 2 strongest defensemen on the team, and I'm not pumping their tires because they weren't good to the point they needed to be either. They were just the better defenseman by far. Goulier didn't have a bad game. Hudson, excellent, had the best offensive game for the defenseman moving the puck, but his defensive game was getting pounded. He was making mistakes. His size difference was showing up. So I think that'll be fun. I understand that with him because he's got to get touches and get used to when he has to release the puck, not get it out sooner. And that'll come. I'm convinced of that. I'm not even concerned. But it was good to see the chaos, and our special teams is just putrid. Nice to see the other power play unit start getting some time in there because they looked better than our first unit. That's saying something. But both units aren't looking good enough. This power play is dreadful, but our penalty kill is not the greatest either. And there's no way in the world we're going to get our goals against average down playing like that. That defensive system has to change. You need something simplified that these guys aren't running like turkeys with their heads cut off because there's no organization. But I mean, they were bad. But Primeau was bad. He couldn't stop a beach ball. And Boston, a good experienced team, shows you. And I'll tell you, I say woe unto, us rebuilding teams that think Boston's getting old. That's a mistake. Have you noticed they're the 8th youngest team now? And they still look damn good. So if people are counting on them to slide down, you're going to have to work your ass off to get ahead of them because they're not old anymore. They have been slowly adding youth, and it's there. When you run into the top 10 youngest teams, you're in a good place. So if we're ever thinking we got to get ahead of Boston, we got a lot of work to do because that team's not going to have an aging problem. Tampa's even cluing into that. So we won't be able to use teams getting old. The only side that teams are getting old is really Pittsburgh, and that's the other division. And Washington, they're already addressing their aging issue as well. But aging, that's really not our conference. It's really Pittsburgh. So when you look at that this showed you why size matters. They killed us. They spanked us and spanked us. And again, I'll say Newhook does not fit on that second line. He's not a second line player. He might be one of your choices to throw in there because we're still in there. We were closer. I know it sucks that Lonnie's not there because you only would have needed one piece to trade for or whatever to make an actual second line because you don't have anybody on the team that's a second liner yet. We know that. They're all third and fourth liners after Lonnie and Doc. Unfortunately, Lonnie is out too, so you need 2 guys that are technically third and fourth liners. And don't tell me that Newhook's a second liner. And he's not fitting on that line. Sorry. He's a good, strong third liner. I give him that. We lost on that trade. We overpaid for him. I don't care what anyone's got to say. Good, hardworking third liner, third, fourth liner in that range. He is not a second liner. And we did overpay. A first and second round draft pick. That's one of we've had two trades that we lost on, and they were both with Colorado. Funny enough, because we lost on the Barron trade too. And to me, I think you have your answer. Who's got to be moved out from that right side when the time comes? Because I think it doesn't help Jack-Eye, because Jack-Eye is not strong enough, like structurally, to make up when Barron can't do his physical part. He's just not there in his progression of the game yet. So I think it would have helped if Jack-Eye would have had a Struble, that type of thing. I know Struble's hurt, but I think we're getting our answer. I would have much rather seen Barron traded than Harris. At least Harris could play the position. That's milk spilled. Spilled milk. It's over now. But I think in the future we had questions. Who's the next one that's got to go? It's not a knock against Barron. I would try him on forward, to tell you the truth, with his offensive touches and see if he could do anything with it, because he can't. He's not a good enough defenseman for us. So you either moving him out or give him a shot on offense before you and see if anything clicks there. Because one thing, although I don't know, because we got to get tougher, because even our big guys don't play big. They don't hit enough. And that has to change. This team needs sandpaper. And I mean, you can inject Pizzetta all you want. Pizzetta's not enough to make a difference on this team. Don't give me the crap. Pizzetta, we know talent-wise, he can outwork a lot of guys. I'll give him that. In our team, fourth liners, but you can rotate him. But he's not enough. When we say we need to add, this team needs to get bigger. And now you're seeing why. And you just don't get bigger. You got to find the type of player that is willing to grind it out and be physical, because you need some aggression. Like, I wish Jack-Eye, that's the one thing I'd say with Jack-Eye, he likes to hit. Problem is, he chases people. He's got to get out of that. Let him come to him, then hit. At least he uses his frame, but he's got to stop chasing people. That's his problem, looking for the big hit. Get that out of his game, he'll be fine. But people need to be more like him in hitting. Matheson looked terrible. Even David Savard's slow anyway, so David Savard kind of looked like David Savard. But he's there to help the kids, really. Other than that, we know he's a third line. Should be. In a normal team, he'd be a third line pairing, or seventh defenseman, sixth, seventh. But this is not a team that's good on defense right now. Well, they're young, and they're showing it. But the veterans weren't playing well either. When I can say Gooley and Hudson were the best two defensemen, that's saying something there. It's good though, because I can see. I'm glad they threw them two together to see what they could do, because I can see those two pairing up as our first pairing in the future. And I wouldn't mind seeing them play together more, because they got the IQ that matches better. So I would rather see that instead of wasting Lane Hudson with Savard, in the sense that Savard, yeah, you can teach out there. You can teach in practice and stuff, but put Lane Hudson, utilize him. Put him with Gooley. Let the two of them work their magic. They looked like they looked better than a lot of, because the pairings were juggled after that, and those two looked really good together. For a change, if they keep going with that in the future, because I think you got to get off the pairings that were last night. They just looked that bad. But I mean, Barron, something's got to be done. I know this is his last straw, but you got to make a decision. Either give him a crack on offense. I don't think he's going to be the answer, because he's soft, and that's his problem. And we got a problem where we got too many soft players. We got to get gritty. When Slab plays to his potential, he'll hit, and Doc will hit, and Armia, and those are your three hitters. and Jack High on defense, that's just not enough players doing it. And Armia doesn't really hit. It's more his winning. He does, but he somehow manages. He's not afraid to get physical. But he takes hits, but he protects the puck. He's strong on his legs. That's what Slav needs a little more. Still, Slav's got to get out of. I don't know what he did over the summer, but he's falling a little too much, and his legs need to start moving because in his own end, he's standing around watching a little too much for my liking. And Suzuki, I could say, is doing the same. So I'm not pleased with what I'm seeing. I know people are going to keep saying, well, they're young. You know, that stop. Stop. There's got to be a movement, positive movement. I mean, they had one with they hung on to a lead. But other than that, what we've seen is this team is still got a long ways to go with the way it is right now. And they need a lot of size and sandpaper added to this team because we are soft and we got our butts handed to us last night. We looked like a joke. When Castella can look like a star, and he was Ottawa's scrapper that would go after Jack-Eye, or Jack-Eye go after him, and Jack-Eye usually won. But when Castella can look like a goal scorer, you got a problem. There's no way. I'm just thinking of one shot for sure. Both shots should have been stopped, but they know. Primeau's got no glove, and you can't. At this point in Primeau's training, I think he's 25 now. He's around there. 5 years in the league anyway. You can't teach reflexes anymore because he would need to be with like somebody, just a baseball glove, somebody throwing it into his glove hand continually. That's what he would need every day for hours to see if you could get his hand to start reflexing because they know he's got no glove. Barely got his blocker's not much better. So they know shoot it high. But he can't track the puck consistently either. He gets out of position. And the one thing you notice, and this is what I noticed with him and Barron, it's the mind strength is not there. They make a mistake, they just fall apart. It showed Primeau after the second goal, he just completely fell apart. Can't get over a mistake and move on and be solid. Same thing happens to Barron. So to me, those are players I see. There's no way Dobes should have not been put in that position with Monty. No way. He performed better than both of them. And who knows? And we don't know what's going to come out of Fowler and our Russian goaltender because they're farther behind in development, and how a goalie turns out. No one knows. But Dobes, he shows signs he could be a starter. And if he doesn't get starter, he's definitely a backup. But he'll push Sam. But there's no reason. I don't know what Montreal's brass and coaching staff were thinking by not giving this kid the chance. Primeau sucked in preseason all the way. Done. Don't even want to hear any more about this guy. You can't fix what's wrong with Primeau. You can't. Sorry. He can look okay as long as it's surface shots when the team is playing well in front of him. But other than that, Boston showed you. Shoot it high on them. They didn't even have to work hard, and they could not move those big forwards. So we got things to face, and I love our team. Don't get me wrong. We'll have a bright future, but we do know what we got to add. The smallness has got to go. You can only have, in my opinion, in this team, when it's said and done, there should only be, when it's said and done, Caulfield and Hudson. Nobody else should be small. That's what I'm saying. You need big. Boston just showed you nobody below 6'1". The smallest guy was 6'1" on the defense staff. That's crazy. That shows you size. Anyway, thank you for joining me. You've seen it here at Center Heights Productions. Please hit the like, subscribe, share it, leave your comment. Where's it? You see it first? Here at Center Heights. And we'll catch you, and God help us in that Ottawa game. God bless.